you have it at your disposal. Okay, you have it at your disposal. So as we progress, everyone will begin to know their preference. All right. So at some point, I was using what's it called? This visualization tool, Tableau. Okay, and later on, I found that okay, I saw Power BI was very interesting, and I saw the uses. Okay, so all of them have their strengths, all of them have their uniqueness. So it's to find the one fit for all and work with it. Okay, there are some organizations that use Google Sheets. Okay, others use Excel, and then for the choice of the software for the sake of this class, we decided to go with MySQL. It has the syntax is very similar to that of Postgres. So when you advance, you begin to find where what resonates with you. So we also well done. At least, like I mentioned, you have an advantage there. It's good to have background knowledge. And another thing is when you begin to work in organizations, when you begin to work in a firm, when you start up your business, or as the case may be, don't be restricted to just using one tool alone. Okay, you can find yourself in a company where they use Python. All right. So because you don't have a background knowledge about Python, doesn't mean you wouldn't try to transition. Some of them they will train you. Okay, so be flexible. Be have the adaptability skill. Be able to adapt to any tool that is being used in your organization. All right. So this does not mean you will not also explore that tools. So just give you a foresight, or just help you to know how to now navigate when you begin to progress in your journey. All right. So, all right. Thank you for that feedback. Any other person? Any other person? Yanu, okay.
Good evening again, Mr. Efe.
Good evening. Good evening.
Okay, so though I've been missing some classes, but I've been trying to catch up. I just want to clarify something from the assignment.
Okay.
Yes, first is the assignment one. He said we should create a table, product table, and then he said this product will have a numeric type, a name, and a double type price. That double type price is what I'm confused about. Is it that it must have decimal?
Yes. I think if I can recall, it's there's in the bracket I mentioned a column XY, right?
You said XX comma YZ.
Okay. So that X represents the total number that will be. It's a decimal,
Okay.
of course, while the Y represents the number of.
Okay. I was a bit confused. Then secondly, from the assignment, when I open the document, it just automatically appears on my SQL what's it called now? But I don't know how to extract. If I finish the assignment, how am I able to take out what I've done?
Okay, so it's a script. All right, so it's a script. You don't need to extract it. It's a script. When you write it, all right, when you write it, you should be able to run anywhere. It's just like the law of gravity. It applies everywhere. So when you run it, if you send it to me on my WhatsApp, when I upload it on or when I run it in my server or my workbench, it should execute. Okay.
Okay, I really did not know how to take it out of SQL after
You save it.
doing.
You save it as a
Okay.
file, just where you save documents and put it in any folder.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome. Okay, well, let's take one more. Mary Jane, your hands are up.
Okay, good evening, sir. And my
Yes, good evening.
question, okay, we have like assignments and folder yes, for our assignments for teaching. So can
Yes.
we just keep the SQL file there because I think it grants access to the instructors too.
What? What? I
Because
didn't hear that last part.
that's what I've been doing. Like if I'm done with my assignments, I just update the folder that contains all our assignments for teaching. So is that the way we are submitting, or is there another way to submit the assignment?
Okay, so yes, I'll drop the link. Is the same link we used for the assignments you've been submitting. All right, so I'll address that. There are some notes I want to compile and push out. All right, so I'll do that. I'll do that after the class. All right, so because some people have finished their assignment and they've reached out to me asking where to submit. So I'll respond to that. Is that okay? All right, thank you. So let's go into the business for today. Like I mentioned, today's class is just going to be brief. All right, I just planned an hour, and um, so what we're going to do today is going to be centered around, over time um, we've been creating, we've been looking at DML, DDL, all right, and we've not really created a table, or we've not worked with a sizable amount of data. And I think a couple of us has asked how we're going to do that. Right. So today, this is the data set we'll be working with. I'll just show us how to load it into the MySQL Workbench. All right. So data profiling it has this staff ID, all of this. It has the category. All right. And then the rating, job title, and salary. Okay. So this is the data set we'll be working with. Right. So the next step if you have something like this, of course, nobody expects you to come and start uh, writing your codes like this, okay? Trying to insert into your table and putting several entries over 100. Nobody will expect you to do that, right? So this is just an introduction. This was an introduction to SQL, trying to create a database, create a table. Sometimes there will be cases where you would need to insert into your table. All right. If you are working, if your work is probably, if your role is a database manager, all right, managing a database for a company, you would work with an RDBMS all the time. Okay. So this would be your go-to tool. SQL, you'll be writing, structured query language. And if there are small chunks of data set you want to create, you would have need to make use of this DDL command, insert into your table, and you put their respective values, right? But on the other hand, if you have a large data set, of course, this is what you do. So let's go over to a new file, all right? So if you want to carry out analysis and you have a data set already that contains a very large number of entries, how would you load it into SQL Server? How would you do that? This is how you're going to do it. Okay, so you can come here and put um and say in setting, Okay. I believe you can see my screen. Bola, to your hands are up.
Yeah, good evening, sir. I wanted to ask if it's only me that can see the Excel screen. I can't see the SQL screen.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Let me share my screen. I was sharing a portion of my screen. Okay. All right. I believe we are on the same page now. All right. Thank you. So I know we are familiar with the method of creating a table or a data set or a what's it called? A database. And do I have that here? Okay, something like this now. All right, create table. This is how we create table, create database. We're already familiar with that syntax. So we'll take another approach. All right, so it will strengthen your knowledge base about SQL. Okay, strengthen your understanding too, and to make your knowledge vast. So this is how it's done. So we're going to create another table. Can someone give us the name of this? So this is the table where if you take a look at this sample of data here, what name can we give our database? So let me leave that to the class. I don't want to just name it, give it something. So if you look at what the data set is all about, okay, let's create database. And Chineye, let me pick you. Give us something.
Good evening, sir.
Yes.
I think I call it employee table.
Okay, let's use something different from. No, we're looking at a database.
Okay.
Okay.
Can either use employee or staff.
I don't want employee. Employees too. Okay, let's go with staff. Let's go with staff. So see now. Okay, so we'll do this. Create database. And I'm going to introduce us to a different SQL statement. Okay. All right. So I'll introduce us into I'll introduce us to a new SQL statement. All right. Other than just the create database. So okay, I've said that already. So this is what we're going to do. Create database. Create database. All right. Create database. So this is how it's done. Create database. If not exists. All right. Can we see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So what was the name of the database again? Staff, right? Create database if not exist. So staff. The reason I'm using this keyword if not exist, it helps us. It's simple. Okay, let me leave it open too. Who wants to try? While I'm using this keyword. Okay, Chiamaka.
So it will create a database. It will first of all check if the database exists. So if it does not exist, it will now create it. I think.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Very correct. So this can fall under the category of um, data constraint integrity. All right, it's just a way of ensuring that there are no mix and there are no conflicting table names or database names. So this is the statement: create database if not exist. Now you might want to ask, is there a better way for putting it? Is there a better way to put this? So it's just like English language. If you can't tell somebody, if I want to ask you how are you, I can't say how you are, or some syntax in English. All right, some things that you can't really question. It's just the way the basics is. Okay, so it's the same thing here. Create database if not exist. I can't come and say create database, and I can't come and say create database not exist, or if it does not exist, something like that. So it's just the syntax. All right, so it's best to understand it later on. Maybe in our next class, I will teach us about the execution order, how SQL executes some of these commands. Okay, we have hands up. Chini, you have a question?
Yeah, okay. From what you wrote now, create database if not exist. So that means if the name is already in existence, it will not create, right?
Yes, yes.
But what if
Yes.
it's not the same data set, they're just bearing the same name?
It,
And the
it's
content
just
is not the same.
it will not. Okay, I will run it now. We are using staff. All right, just hold on, please. You see what I'll do now. Rachel.
Sir,
Yes.
okay, I wanted to ask if we can use this command when you already have an existing database. Like, let me say I opened a new script page on this SQL, and in the previous code that I wrote in the other script, I already have a database name staff, but I want to add more things to that particular database. Maybe I want to just alter because I'm practicing. I already practiced creating table and or any other thing in the previous page. I want to alter in the next page. Can I use this same? Because if I run it in the new page, it will tell me that the database already exists. Can I use this kind of command to like bypass that output statement?
So your question is, in few words, you want to modify the content of your database.
Yes.
Okay. If you want to modify the content of your database, you don't need to write this SQL statement. Okay, you don't need to write this SQL statement. There, it's if it's I think from your question, if you want to modify your database, the content in it, which is the tables, basically, is to okay, I've not shown us how to rename database and rename table. There's a keyword rename. Okay, we can rename our database, rename our tables. So I'll show us how to do that also. But just within the confine of this create database if not exist statement, it helps us to, because if you might not really appreciate it now until you are working with a lot of databases, a lot of tables, and there are chances that, see now, the first thing that came to our mind, and the person that answered, I said, what name would you give our database to? It was employee. I said I don't want to use employee because I might have a lot of employee already. I don't even know. I might have a lot of employee and it will return an error. Currently, I have the name staff, and just see what will happen now. Create database if not exist, then the name of the database following the syntax. All right. So if I hatch this now, Okay, I don't need to put this, sorry. Look at for my, can you see beneath? What does it read? Hello?
Can't create database stuff. Database exists.
So it exists already. I have a staff database in under my schema. Okay, you can see it for me as staff. This is it. I even have two, staff and staff DB database. Okay, so it will not run. So this is just a what's the word now? A way of checking and preventing error, right? Okay, so I will change it to, yes, you're welcome. I will change it to, I don't want to use DB again. I can change it to staff database. Okay, let's just use the full name, staff database. Okay, if I insert it, all right, staff database. I've created a name database. Is that okay? So the next thing I want to do is to create, so I can come here and see my database. All right, show database that is on this server. Now this is what it will return. Show database. Okay, why is this not giving me? Okay, let me put this here. Show database here. So these are all my database that are currently in this local instance. All right, you can have several instances in your server. So these are the databases here. So you can see staff DB here is showing. Are we together?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So so the next thing I want to do is I want to create a table. And where do I want to direct the table? I can come over here and say use staff database. Okay, so I want to create a table in it. So currently all the databases here, they are disabled. All right, so I'm directing where my data or my table that I want to create will be stored. So currently this is what I'm using now. So I'm no longer using TEFEM database. All right, so I want to create a table now. So remember, we want to insert, we want to bring this sheet into our server. All right, so this is what we want to do. So this is how we're going to do it. So we'll say how we're going to do it. How we're going to do it. I want to create a new table. Does anyone want to try? All right, Ian.
Okay. We're going to write the syntax create table.
Okay. Okay.
And the name that we want to name the table.
All right. So thank you.
Okay.
All right. So because of time, I'll just walk us through. Like I said, So the class will be just short today. I just planned our class, right? So this is what we're going to do. We'll use the same syntax again. Create database if not exist. So the same way of preventing error. Create table if not exist. So the exist should carry this s here. All right. So in English language, you say this is this syntax, or this it's not right if in English exists. There's exist, if not exist. But in SQL, this syntax is correct. Do we get right? So does anyone want to name our table? Be fast if you want to name our table. I need a name for this table. So we have staff database already. What can we call it? Okay, Rachel.
Employee data.
I don't want to use employee. I don't need employee.
Staff data. A staff table.
No, let's try something else. The other words. Hello. Okay, Chini. Let's go away from the conventional.
Can we use workers?
Okay, beautiful. Well, that's all right. Let's use workers. So create database workers. Sorry, tables workers. All right. So we'll put our open and close bracket, and then our semicolon to as an indication of the end of the query, and we can separate this. All right. So we come over here. Use our tab key. So we can. So this is what. So now follow through. Okay. So this is what we're doing. So we first examine or explore our data set and see the columns. All right. So we have 5 columns here. Staff ID with their respective IDs, unique IDs. All right. So I'll share this data set with us also so that we can use to practice. Then we have categories. Okay. The sales, marketing is the staff within any of this category. IT, administration, engineering. We have engineering here. Okay. And then their job title: assistant, executive, technician, coordinator, and the like, and then their salary. So having done this, having done data profiling, since we want to import it, okay, this was the right word I'm looking for, not inserting, importing. Okay. Okay, so since we want to import it, we'll create a structure already. All right, we'll create the same name, the same table, the same, not the same name, the same structure in which the table exists already on our spreadsheet or wherever our data is hosted. All right, so since we're bringing it into, it's just like sewing, just something really, just like sewing clothes, all right, before the person wears it. So we're going to create the structure of the table and put it, right? So although there are no entries in the table, but we'll create a table first before we import the data set into MySQL Workbench. All right. So this is how we're going to do it. So the first row, the first column rather, is staff ID. So we can say staff ID. Okay. Integer. All right. Since the data type within the column or within the records is just integer. So we won't just leave it at that at this point rather. Now, like I said earlier on, we have what we call data constraints. Okay, so we'll use another. I'm introducing us to different SQL statements. All right, so there are different approaches depending on what you want to use and why you're using them. So I've introduced us to the if not exists SQL statement. I said it helps us to prevent error. All right. Now for data constraints, all right, there's what we call the not null. the not null value, right? I have some notes on this to explain in detail. All right, so I'll just give us an overview of what it does. The not null enables us to create a table, and then it does not allow any. It's just a way of preventing empty values within our data set. So when you use the not null, that means every record must contain a value. You get, every entry must contain a value, so it will not give room for empty cells. That's what it's not null. It's part of constraining your data, constraining your table, preventing errors. You know, in data cleaning, one of the major inconsistency you see in data cleaning is empty cells. All right, duplicated values. What else again? We have wrong formatting of data types. That's part of what makes up a data that is unclean. All right, there are several inconsistencies you'll see in data types in your data set. All right, so this is one of the ways for preventing that. Is that understood? Do we understand the explanation? So it's like conditioning your entries. All right, we just conditioned the database, and we saw that it returned an error. It showed us that stuff already exists. Same thing here. Create a table if not exists. So if I had put a table that has the same name, or that have another name that's already existing, to return an error also. So this is a way for doing this. And most of the time, best practice, I would encourage us as we progress. Okay, it's always important to make use of this. It will save you a lot of stress. All right, so staff ID integer will define the data type. So yes, exactly. So Chiamaka just put something on. I have notes for all of this. I'll share them. There are some notes I'm also trying to add some things to, so that it will be more like updating the notes. All right, so the null constraint, it enforces a colon to not accept null values. Beautiful. Okay. All right, so that's that for the null constraint. All right, so it's like constraining your entries, your data set. So now I will use the keyword primary key, or the statement primary key. All right, so remember the last time we used auto increment also. So there are a lot of things as you progress in your journey in learning SQL. You come across several SQL statements. All right, so I'm just trying to introduce you to the very basic introduction, basic understanding. All right, so but for the sake of this data table creation, I'm not going to use the auto increment key. Okay, because I already have in my data set here, I already have all of them uniquely. It's clean. It's a clean data set, 1 to 100. Okay, I already have them incrementing in that order, so I don't need the auto increment. So just know when to use which and when not to use which. All right, so the reason I'm using, who can tell me the reason I'm using the primary key and I'm not adding the auto increment key? These are just objective questions. Anyone wants to give it a try? Why am I using the primary key? Beverly. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, just okay. I would say you're using it because maybe you know the numbers, the primary key numbers you want to put, rather than using the auto increment that will generate the numbers. You want to put it in manually. Yeah.
Okay, you have an idea, but that's not what I was expecting. Chiamaka.
I would say you want to indicate that they will be for unique identification of the record you're trying to enter.
Okay, would you want to expatiate more on that? You got it correctly, but okay. Yes, you.
I don't know how else to put it. I'm sorry.
All right, Chine, I'm sorry, Chine. Okay. So let me just say, because of time, all right. So of course we know what primary key is and what a foreign key is. We know the difference. By now you should know the difference. All right. Primary key, it's a unique identifier. Unique identifier. That means it's all of these are just constraints too. If not null is a constraint, primary key also is a constraint. That means this one is while this one is preventing rejecting empty values. This prevents duplicates. All right. So if you observe in my data set now, I don't have a duplicate. Okay. I don't have a duplicate. It's 1 down to 100. Okay. So the primary key, so we got the definition, we got it correctly. All right. So there were some extra add-ons we needed to explain there. So it will prevent duplicate. All right. So moving on. Let me go fast now. So I go to the next column, category. All right. Category. All right. Our category in this case, it will be a varying character. So it's a text, it's in text data type. So it will be varchar. All right. Of how many characters? Let's leave it at 30. Okay. And I will include the not null also. So I'm going to include it for all the columns I'm creating in the data in the table. So the rating. Okay. Look at the rating. To know how to know, you should by now you should know your data types. Rating. What am I going to use here? What am I going to use here? Okay. Go ahead, Chine. What am I going to use here for the ratings?
It's integer.
Integer. All right. Integer. Beautiful. Not null. Okay. Let's get to here. So what's the next engineer top job title? Okay. Job title. Let's take a look. Okay. So of course to be that variable character. Varchar of how many characters? Let's leave it as 30. Right. So the next one will be salary. All right. So what will be our salary? Class, what will be our salary? Kine.
Integer.
Okay, integer. So you observe we've not used decimal here because our no colon contains decimal. All right.
Decimal, yeah.
So integer. Okay. Not null also. All right. So this closing bracket can be anywhere in your file. It will still run. Okay. It doesn't have to be close up to it. All right. Their hands up. Sophia.
Good evening, sir. Please, sir, why didn't you include not null for the job title also?
All right. Thank you. I didn't see that. It would have still executed, only that this colon will not have a constraint. Okay. All right. There was a hand up again. Okay, I believe there's no question again. So let's check create table if not exist. Glory, workers, staff
So
ID. Yeah.
I want to ask, what if we want to update this database now based on the salary you said is integer, and there is a worker's salary that has decimal? How are we going to go about it?
Okay. If you want to update it, you have to remember I told you DDL, DML. Okay. So you have to change your structure. Okay, because probably your database will keep on adding values, it keeps on growing. So when there are changes, your DDL queries, your DDL commands will be able to do it. All right. So you can't if you try to impute. I think in one of the classes we saw that it returned an error. I tried to impute a decimal value in a data type colon that accept only integer, and returned an error because from the beginning I didn't format my table like that. So you can use the alter table to be able to do that. Right, so
So
now
why can't we just make it now, as in let it be robust to accept such figures, whether integer or decimal?
okay, so it will still it's so for just because for the sake of this demo now, all of them contain you can do it that way. All of them contains integer, all right, because it's just a demo I'm doing. All of them contain integer. So the only thing to do now is to now include what's it called, include double what's it called, decimal points today, and then look for what's it you can do. You can say let's do max. Okay. Okay. Max. So this is the total value. All right. And how many, if I should change this, what's it, where is it? Is it in set now? Or I can format if I should. So this is how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if I add a decimal point, 2 decimal points, it will be 8. So it will be 8. It will be 8, comma 8, comma what? 8, comma 2. Yes, 8, comma 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then plus 2. Let me format this. This is not. I'm not. This is not Excel. This is Where is this format? This thing again here. It's a different. I'm not used to this. Okay, but do you understand what I'm trying to do here?
I think you're trying to insert a decimal point.
Yes. No, I'm away from what I'm doing now. Like I'm responding to your question. I can't find this. This is not Excel. This is WPS. The interface is different. I want to format this thing to include a decimal point. Then if you do that,
Go to home. Then you go down to
okay,
general. Yeah.
okay. All right. So you see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's a beautiful question you ask. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so it's 8. So if you come here, you can change this to decimal now. Decimal. All right. Decimal, and then you define it. So since this, you said what I just did, I checked for my maximum salary. So that means I know that the maximum length is 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 numbers here. So what I'm going to do here is to put 8, then comma 2. Or since if in case this, like you said, we give allowance for that in case salary increases, so we can just do 10, comma 2. Of course, it's more standardized, not to have more than how many decimal points. So 8, comma 2 in case this salary turns to a, this is in millions now. Okay, let me still format this. Put a separator, 1,000 separator. So this is in 1,000. Imagine the salary is in millions now. So you have room for this. All right. So then you can as well. You can as well format everything here. Okay. So there's no one way of doing it. You can as well format everything here. Okay, add 1,000 separator. All right. So, but since I don't have any value within for these decimal points, so there's no point doing it. That's why I just use the integer, and we're just trying to simulate a real world experience, right? So if this is the case, of course you have to use a decimal point and include a number, and then use your not null value to constrain it. So all I did was just to know the maximum value here. If we do the minimum, do the mean, and check everything here. Okay, click on OK. So the minimum is, let's format this. Okay, so you can see 30,000. This is 170,000. So we know the maximum, and then this is there's a hand up. Daniela.
Yes, sir. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So yeah, back to SQL, where you were saying that we should create table if not exist workers. So even if we just do create table workers and it still exists, they will just show us like it won't run out.
If what?
Like here, where you were saying like we do create table if not exists workers. Even if we just do create table workers, so and if table exists, they'll just show us.
If the table exists already, if the name of the table workers exists already, it will return an error. It will not it will not run. It will return an error saying we can't have two same names existing in the same schema.
Exactly. Like why are we then using if not exist?
Okay, so it's a preventive approach, because it's a preventive approach in cases where you have a lot of schemas in your server, like hundreds of different kinds of databases. They are working in an organization. All right, there's chances that you will not know where, you will not know if you've renamed. So the reason I was intentionally telling us to leave employee out is because I might have employee here, and I don't really, based on preference, I like naming my tables and my database something unique, not that is just conventional. All right, so it's just a preventive way. Okay, it's a way of constraining your data to and your table, and then preventive way of not allowing two same names within the table. That's the reason why using this if not exists. It's a way of constraining your table, your data, your entries also, and this not value. It's also a way of returning cells that are empty. Okay, because almost all the time you would want to work with a data set that is complete, free of errors, free of empty value. All right.
So this not null is used for.
Okay, so I said it not null is it's a data constraint. All right. It's a data constraint. It's a way of constraining. It rejects empty values, empty cells. So in case there is nothing here now, if I delete this, okay, and I try to import this data set, it will indicate an error that it will not, in fact, it will not allow this entry this record. It will not allow this record. All right. So it's just a way of checking that your data set, what you are importing, is clean.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, you're welcome. All right. So are we good? Are we good? Can I progress? All right. If you have any question, please bring it to my attention. All right. So the next thing we'll do is we'll run this now. We'll hatch everything. Let's be sure: job title, salary, rating, category, staff ID, create table if not exist, workers. All right. Okay. Let me go back to who asked this question. Do you understand? Was it Chiamaka
Yes,
or
I
someone?
did. I did.
Glory.
It's me. I asked the question. I did understand what you.
Okay. So let's go back to what we're using. So we use integer. All right. So there's no need for using the integer, not null. All right. So be sure. All right. So we can now run this and create the table. So you can see this should have created by now. Let's check. I think it has created. Let's see. Show tables. All right, workers. So you can see it has created a table called workers. Beautiful. So let's progress. So let's see the structure of our table. We say select from workers. Okay. So what we're doing, we're still writing the DDL. Okay. So select from. So this select keyword is under DQL, data query. So I'm querying the database now. So we can run it and see our table: staff ID, category name, rating, job title, and salary. So the next thing we want to do is to import all of this now. So imagine you have rows of that you have a table that contains millions of rows. This is how you import your data set into SQL to work with. Okay. So come over here. You can see. So you can see. Can you see the intelligence that is showing on my screen? Okay. So it says import record from an external file. Export record set to an external file. You can import, you can export. All right. Delete selected rows. Insert. You can play around all of this interface and understand it better. Insert new rows. Edit current row. This is used to filter. This is used to refresh. Okay, you can refresh. This is the result grid. All right. So we're now sure we've created our database. We've created our table. So now let's import our data set. Okay. So from now on, we'll be using imported data sets so that we can advance with writing SQL. All right, so we'll click on import so you can see. Can we read what's on my screen? Can we see it? Okay, beautiful. So it says table import. Table data import allows you to easily import CSV, JSON data files. You can also create destination table on the fly. So now this is one thing. The file, I'll share this file with us so that we can follow along. So this is SQL allows for just CSV files. All right. If you have an Excel file, you won't be able to. That's one of the limitations. Okay, let me go back again so you can't see how I came here. All right. When I select from my table, okay, when I run this, select from workers. So you can see this import, export, import. Can we see it?
Yes.
All right. So I clicked on it and then I came here. Table import allows you to easily import CSV. So MySQL allows you to only import CSV. You can't import Excel files. So if you have an Excel file, most of the times your data set is stored in an Excel. You just have to resave it. Click on your save as, and then it will show you different options to save it as CSV file, Excel file. There are different names of files. So that's not a problem, okay? So you can always you can convert your CSV. You can convert CSV to Excel and Excel to CSV, vice versa. All right, is that understood? So I'll browse the part where this file is located in now. Okay, it's under this. It's under this. Look at it now. So this is the data set we're working with. Yeah, so this is the data set we're working with. So I click on it and look at it. CSV means command separator. Command separated values. Right, you can research more about it and look at the two files, CSV and JSON. These are the two files you can import. So this file was in Excel. I converted it to CSV. So I'll share it with us. So open. You can see table data import allows you to easily import CSV JSON files. All right. So I click on next. Are we together? All right. So if you take a look at it very well, now follow through, please. Follow through. You can see select destination table and additional options. All right. So you can see, look at the option for using existing table is there. The option for creating a new table is there. All right. So right now I will click on use existing table. Look at it now. Remember when we were writing, let me minimize this. Okay. So you can see, remember when I was returning, I said you can use this syntax, all right? The table, the database name, and the name of the table. You just by dot. So if you see it, just know. Okay, let's this is another way to write. This is another way to write the syntax, all right? It's similar to Postgres too. So when you see this, just know that this is the name of the database and the table. So you see another one dot, then the colon name itself. I can't recall whether it's Postgres too. So all these are just long ways to write it. Okay, so the table, the database name followed by the table, then followed by the colon name. Okay, but all of this is redundant. Okay, so we'll come over to where is that? Okay, look at it now. So when you see this now, it's saying use existing table. So you see staff database, that's the name of our database, and then dot workers, which is the name of the table. So we've already created the table already. So we just want to host it there now. Host the information in the table we've created. Okay. So we use existing table. And if you can see it changes truncate table before import. Can we see my screen? You can zoom in. I can't zoom this in, but you can as well zoom in to see all of this. You see it through on your end. All right. So you can see truncate table before import. What does this mean? Remember I said truncate product table. What does truncate do, class? What's the difference between truncate and delete? What does truncate do? Okay, go ahead, Beverly.
Okay. Hope I can. Okay. Truncate deletes the content of the table while leaving the structure. Why deletes the entire table and the content.
That's drop. Drop deletes the entire.
Okay, that's drop. Yeah, I'm always confused between drop and delete.
All right. So delete is used to direct. It's used to drop. Delete is used to either delete an entry, a row, or a colon. But truncate deletes everything within the entries within a table, but leaves the structure. It's an irreversible process. You can't get it back. All right. So you should be careful before you use your truncate. Even the word itself is scary. so truncate, that's what truncate does. All right. So if you go back to this, now, somebody's Modupe, your mic is unmuted. Please mute your mic. All right, thank you. So if you look at it, truncate table before import. So we don't have anything. So there's no need to say truncate table before import. Okay. Truncate table before import. So there's nothing in the table. If there was a table before, if we want to replace exactly. So if we have a workers table already and want to replace the records in it, we can now use truncate table before import. Okay, so we can leave this, okay, and use existing table. So this workers, so we go to the next. We're not creating a new table. Okay, so go to the next. So you can see this preview, configure import setting. All right, are we together, class? So these are different encodings. All right, it's a bit advanced, but you always leave it by using default, except maybe your computer has a different configuration, or you need to, if you are very familiar with all of these encodings. But it's always good to leave it with the UTF-8. So you leave it as the default here, and then the colon, you can see source colon and then destination colon. So the source colon is what we're trying to import. The destination colon is what we've created already in our table here. Okay, this is the destination colons. So come back and write this. So you can see it's giving us a preview of what we've created already. Sorry, it's giving us a preview of what we're trying to import. So most of the time when you're importing a very large data set that has colons, let's say hundreds of colons, this just have how many colons? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colons. You can see data sets that have hundreds of colons. All right, that's really redundant. It's denormalized. So you try to normalize it by breaking it into different tables. So most of the time this is mixed matched. You can see staff ID here and then rating is here. So if you're not careful enough to check this, when you import it, you will have errors. You have to re-import your data set again. So you must be careful to check that they both match what you created. All right. So the source column will go to the destination column. So in this case, we have staff ID is not matching with your ratings. So you change it to the staff ID. If you have job title and there's category here, you know that it's wrong. So you change it. So where is it called? Where is job title? All right. So we have all of them that are correctly matched. Are we together? All right. Beautiful. So we are sure of this. So we click on next. So just preview what you're doing before you move on. You click on next. And now you see the following task will now be performed. Please monitor the execution. Prepare, import data file. That's what we want to do. Click next to execute. So we're good. We click on next. So it's importing data. It takes some few seconds, all right, depending on the size of your data set. You can see less than how many minutes. Finished performing task. Click next to continue. All right. So you can see this is the destination part from user to the name of my system, desktop, TEFEM database was imported in 5.547 seconds. Table. You can see, so while we are calling the name of the table workers, you can still call it staff database dot. So this is just the format to another way to identify your table has been recorded. 100 records imported exactly. So most of the time you should know the size of your data. So it's a 100 record data set that have been imported. So we'll click on finish. All right. So you can come over here and select. If we run this query again, if we hatch it, you can see it has been imported. Wow. Isn't that beautiful? That's interesting. So we've imported our data set already. You can just preview and see. So before now, most of us were, I think somebody raised that question. So are we going to be, if we have 100 queries, are we going to write, or 100 records, are we going to write 100, are we going to insert 100 times? So the answer is no. You can use this approach. So you can see, you can just preview your data set. All right. You can see staff ID, category, rating, and then we formatted the salary as integer, not decimal. Okay. Voucher, rating, integer, and the likes. All right. Do we understand up to this point? Any question? Tini, all right, go ahead.
Okay, fine. So does it mean that there is no way of importing a table the way we do in Power BI, like without creating the structure initially, like just import the table the way it is?
Okay, so there are several ways to do it. All right, there are several ways to do it, but this is one of the you saw why we started with creating using the DDL category, the commands in DDL, because anytime you want to create a table, all right, this is one of the approach best practice to import a data set into a table. You define all of this first, because while you may be trying to import, like I said, all of these are constraints too. You would want to use this syntax, you want to use these statements to maybe I'll come up with a note on that to show us how to be able to, why we do some certain things. All right, so if you have several columns, it's a way of defining the structure of your database. It's not all the time you get to import data sets into your SQL, because this is just a local instance where you host database. So this is one of the ways. All right, the other ways you can do it, but for the time I've been working with SQL and from the experience I have, this is what I would recommend. All right, it's a safe way to import your data set, and you have the flexibility of and option to define how you want your data set to be imported. I don't know whether it was you that raised that question for this now. Okay, so there are different approaches to use, but this is one of the ways that you can import your data set without having errors, without having redundant, without you define what you want. Rachel, please go ahead.
Okay, good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. I want to ask this question. When we've not imported any table or any data set, we have been creating by ourselves, create table, create database, and all that. Then now we have data sets again. We have to be creating table again. I want to know if we import it without creating all this thing, will this still work?
Okay, I think that's the same question the first person asked. It will still work. All right, only that this approach, okay, will help you prevent maybe, I don't know, how will I explain it now? I have to do a demo, maybe using a different kind of data set too that has empty values, wrong data type formatting. So I think probably I would show us a demo on that maybe in our next call, where you see the difference. All right, this approach It will help you define your data. It will help you define your data type for each column. Okay. It will help you put in constraints for data integrity. And there are sometimes you will try to import your data set, okay, into MySQL Workbench. It will wrongly format it for you. So this is one of the best practice, right, to be able to help you define your data types correctly, the way you want them. You saw, okay, and most of us experience the same. Most of us experience a challenge in Power BI, where if you go to your Power Query editor, the data type were wrongly formatted. You will see in a column where it's supposed to be date data type, you see date, and under you see text too, date and 1, 2, 3. I don't know if some of us experience that. In a column where you are supposed to, where it's supposed to be integer, let's say profit is a numeric value. When you now write your functions, it cannot sum up if that data type is formatted in a date format or maybe in a text format. The sum function cannot sum text. It sums integer numeric values. Why do you think Power BI, why do you think that problem existed? It was not even from my end, because it's only a few of us that experienced that challenge. But other people imported the data set too. At that point, Power BI is confused. Doesn't even know what data type to assign to that particular column. That's why you see two data types in your Power Query editor. So it's confused. Should I assign a numeric value data type, or should I assign a text data type or a date data type? At that point, it's confused. So to avoid all of those errors, that's why it's always good. So most of us will be wondering, why are we creating when we could just directly import? Yes, you can import. Okay, you can import, but let's try and import this thing again. Where is it? Where is this? How will I get? Okay. Let me see if I can still. Okay, see. Let's try and import this again. Next. Let me do the same process. You can see there are several times I've tried to import a data set. All right. Columns, like 20 columns. And these things are mixed matched. When you try to import it directly, if you don't follow all of this process, it will wrongly, in fact, not only will it wrongly match the data types and the source column and the destination column, it takes a longer time. I mean hours, because you've not given it a defined structure, a defined pathway to follow. Right. So it will take long. I've tried to, there was a time I was trying to import a data set. It took me like 8 hours. I didn't know what the problem was until I had to go and do my research, and okay, I understood. It took me 8 hours for how many columns? So it's always best practice to do this. That's why we are defining that's why we are defining all of this first. It's a safer way. So it will not allow you, it will not return error, it will reduce the time error and everything. Okay, so you can, there are other ways. Maybe I'll show us where we're going to work with a larger data set. So it's so that you would understand better. You just have, your whys. Okay, is that understood? Okay, there's a hand up. I didn't hear Rachel again. Chini, I would soon end this
I
call.
said it's well understood. Thanks, sir.
Okay, all right.
Okay, sir. So during this importation now, what will happen to all those data, all those rules that did not meet the constrained, specified conditions? Will it drop them, or what? What will happen to those data?
Come again, I didn't get that.
Like, now you have given it conditions for your columns and how you want each column to be represented. So what I'm saying now is that data that you're trying to import, what of if there are some columns that did not meet these specified conditions? What will happen to those columns? Will the SQL just automatically convert them, or it will drop them because they did
It
not
would
meet up?
Yes, it will drop them. It's like a check. All right, it will drop them. It just, like I said, it's tied under the umbrella of constraining your data integrity. All right. So
Wouldn't that mean incomplete data?
Okay, so yes, there are several ways you can think of it. All right, so one of the ways, so it depends on it depends on this how it depends on the person working with the data. Personally, for me, okay, most of the time, okay, let's do it like this. Excel, you can. I hope you know you can use. Okay, I think I mentioned it before. You can use SQL to clean your data. Only that that's not the strength of it. If you are very good with writing your codes, you'll be able to clean data with Excel. I've done it before. Try to clean my data using SQL. Like I didn't do Excel. The data was really messy, numeric, empty cells, duplicated values, wrong data type. I had to clean it, reformat it using codes here. That was a long time ago until I started using Excel. Excel is a very strict way to clean your data. So of course, you should have done your checks before you import your data using Excel. You don't just carry data and just start using. You will run. In fact, it will backfire in the long run. All right. So it's always important. Most of the time, it takes about, if the data set is really messy, data cleaning is what takes most of the data analysis time when analyzing data cleaning. So you must have done your checks to check your data set. All right, if it's clean, check for inconsistencies, duplicated values, missing values, empty cells, wrong formatting. All right, you must have done your assignment in that regard first before you begin to import. So this way now is just like an extra check. Okay, so this is the last. I would say the last check here. You can be free from wrong formatted data type. So in this case, if you use this, it will not import. It will reject that a cell that has an empty value, except you want to permit it. Some cells, some data collection, empty values does not really mean it's the data set is unclean. Okay, it also means something empty that I know of, empty cells. All right. So, but for this case now, it will return. It will not include it in your data set. So you are trying to say you are trying to optimize it like 100%. Your data set must be clean. That these are constraints. You know what the word constraint means? Okay, it's a conditional statement. Also, you are conditioning what should be imported into your data, into your workbench. So if in this case it will not return, it will not allow for empty cells. You saw how this, when we run this very statement here, you saw it didn't from the beginning. When I tried to create a database staff, I already have a staff database. Look at it here. I already have it here. When I tried creating it, you saw that what they call those symbols. It didn't work. So likewise, this too, it won't work. It will drop it down. So it's a, I'll say, let me use the word. I would say it's a strong conditional statement. Not no. Okay, it's not flexible. It's not. It's strong. Do you understand? Hello. Okay, so it's not subtle. It's harsh. All right. If it was subtle, this create database if not exist statement would have said, okay, now let's just allow stuff. But then it's strict. It's strict. It's more strict than most of the conditional statements. So it will not return. So all of these are data constraints, integrity for your data, for your database or your data or your table, right? When you begin to advance, I just hope when you begin to advance in your career, you begin to see the importance of data keeping. When I mean integrity, your data must be representative, or your findings, your insight must be be a representation of what your data set represents, supposed to represent. All right. And if you observe my closing remarks now, because I would soon log out. So if you observe what we've been doing, I know from the beginning of the call, most of us we asked our background, where are we coming from, why did you choose data analysis? Most of us mentioned healthcare, we mentioned education, research, sales, and if you observe, we've been using the demos we've been using is more of sales data sets. Okay, there's a reason for that, because you get to find a lot of resources in that regard. You get to find a lot of information, okay, for that particular niche. But that does not downplay the niche you want to carve into later on as you begin to streamline your interest. All right, so you can always apply it, but for it's more generic to use this kind of data set too. And later, as you progress, as you advance, you begin to understand some why we do some certain things, right? In your data, you some junior roles in the data space. Okay, it involves data entry. Also, you can begin your career as data analyst from data entry, begin to advance data entry. If you learn about data entry, you know that keeping of data keeping, data recording should be very, very. There's a word I like to use: over scrupulous. That means you are very detailed. You are very, 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 very detailed in your data keeping. There's a role currently I'm working on, okay, and it involves more of data entry, just data entry. In fact, I began to appreciate it better, understand data analysis. So all of this, I'm trying to drive this point that all of this is very important. Okay, so you get to appreciate it better when you begin to understand some certain things in as you advance in your data career. All right, so it's just a way of ensuring data integrity. So I hope that clarifies to some extent. All right, so I'll share this file with us. And we could. So now you see now. So this is an assignment. So I'm giving another assignment. All right. I would have started another topic, but it won't. The timing won't favor me, because I don't want to stop halfway. I have to finish up. All right. So this will be the assignment. Go back, watch this video, try to practice it, import this data set, and then any data set. By now, I think we should have access to different data sets. Okay, you can import data set and try to that's how you strengthen your hand. You know, because if you leave this in a while, it will leave you too. So all the data sets you have, the ones Mr. Daniel have shared, the ones I've shared, the ones you've gotten hold of online, you've downloaded from any site, try to recreate this now. Okay, you can use the date. See now, this data set, the creation of this table was just streamlined to integer data type, varchar. I didn't use decimal, I didn't use date. All right, so try your hands on it. So that's the next assignment. All right, and also for submission of assignment, the same link that was used to submit assignment will still be the same link you use. So maybe myself or your class reps or admin will maybe reshare those links again if you have access to them. So that's where you are going to drop our assignment. Okay, and maybe in less than a couple of weeks we should be done with SQL. All right, so on Sunday there won't be any class. Use that time to if there's going to be any class, I'll reach out, all right, through admin or class reps. So they won't have any class. So use that time to fix what has to be fixed, do what has to be done, do the assignments, and get to practice. All right, get to practice. Okay, so let me. Yes, there is attendance. There's attendance. Let me stop here. We have hands up. Okay, Lawa, go ahead, please.
Good evening, sir. Please, I want to ask for the projects we're being given, when is the deadline and where are we to send the assignment? I mean, the project, rather, when we're done. You said the assignment, the link is going to be shared, but for the project, I don't know.
Okay, the project we have to be same link. Yes, same link, just so that we won't have so many links out there. I told us, always bookmark, always star the shared link so that it will be easy. When you go to your drive, you just click on shared with me or where you started it, and then it's easy to retrieve. So everything will be on that same link. Is that okay?
Yes, it's fine. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anela.
Hello. So for me, I wanted to ask, like, what did you say was the assignment, the recent one, the one you just said right now,
The one.
the one, the one you were telling us, like
Okay,
right now
yes.
in this video?
Yes, I will share this materials. Okay, I still have some notes that I'm yet to update and that I will share to us. So the
Okay.
assignment is recreate what I've just done. You can use this data set and also look for other data sets too. Okay, and try to import just as I've done to strengthen you. And so that data set could contain like maybe 12 columns. The bigger the data, the bigger the data set, the better you get to understand and practice what I've just done. So make sure the data set you are using includes different data types: integer, varying character, date. What else again? Decimal. You can use not null, constraint, try out and check for yourself, primary key, auto increment. That's how you practice to make your hands.
Okay.
That's the assignment. So use the data set and then check for other data sets. You could use what we've been using for other ones online. All right. Hope that is understood.
Yes.
This hand have been up since. Chine, is your hand still? Do you still want to ask a question or?
Sorry, Galero.
All right, Inspire.
Okay, good evening, sir. Sir, I want to ask about the deadline for the submission of the project you asked us to work on. Like, is there any specific date that we have to submit it?
Okay, I already mentioned this week. Was it this week or last week? But since most of us were still trying to install these softwares and begin, so that's why I gave that room. However, between now and mid, like I said, we'll be wrapping up this session. Okay, in few days time. So okay, let me give a deadline. So next week, Wednesday. Okay, I have given assignments on SQL already, like 3 assignments. I've given another one now. This is the 4th assignment also. So between now and I think it's enough time. But the SQL assignment, they are simple, very, very simple, right? So when I give those assignments, this is almost a week plus now. By Wednesday, this assignment should be ready, all right? Before we have a final guided project on SQL and maybe a assessment also. Then for the project itself, the one that was told to us that you can use either Excel or Power BI. This is how many weeks now? This is 2 weeks plus now. So next week Wednesday, yes, next week Wednesday, the assignment should be in. So work with that deadline. Is that okay? So let's check the calendar. Let's see what's on Wednesday. If that we don't forget, Wednesday would be on the 4th of December. On the 4th of December. So we have like 5 days from now or 6 days. 5 days. So on the 4th of December, the assignment should be ready. Okay. 2 more minutes and I would end the call. Let's see what we can do. Esther Paul, your hands are up.
Good evening, sir. Sir, I want to ask, the assignments, are you referring to the SQL or the Power BI? That's the first question. And then the second question, the SQL assignment, like, are we to submit them via file? Like, how are we to submit them via the
Yes,
SQL file?
submit them as scripts like this. Submit them.
How are we to do that, sir? Sorry, I don't know.
Save the script, save it, save the file as. If I want to save this file now, this is SQL file 8. I can say, I can save this file as. Look at it, save script as. You can see, can save script as.
Sir, please,
Okay.
where did you went to? I didn't say that.
I want to save this. All of these I've saved this DQL language, DDL language, creatable. So I want to save SQL file 8. I come over here, file, click on
Okay.
save script as. So you could type the name and save. All right, it will
Okay.
save in your folder and then share that file.
Okay, sir.
So we're saving, so it's a script. This is a script. This whole place is a script. All of these are scripts. You can see these are scripts. So I could share it and all right. So I think that answers the question, right?
Yeah. So this first question was if we are to submit the Power BI on Wednesday or just the SQL on Wednesday.
Okay, let's do it like this. SQL between now and Wednesday, Power BI Friday, which is 7th or 6th. So let me
Okay,
give
sir.
us time. All right, this is almost I think this is more than a week now. Between now and next week, it will be like 2 weeks or 2 weeks plus. So SQL Wednesday 4th, Power BI Friday. Yes, a week from now. Today is Friday, a week from now. All right. Please take note. And the class rep. Okay, this will happen. Rachel, please you make an announcement. All right, make that an announcement on the group. Okay.
For the deadlines.
Yes, for the deadlines.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Why are we having hands? Okay, Sarah.
Okay, Wednesday and Friday, right?
Yes, please.
All right, sir.
Okay, sir. Sorry. Considering the data set that you use, please, are you going to post this for us so that we can use them?
Yes. I'll push them. I need to push them. I'll push them. I have some notes too. I want to yet to finish notes. I'll push the data set. Okay.
All right, sir. Thank you very
It's a
much.
CSV file. Okay. What else again? Lawal.
Okay, sorry, just a quick one. Now you're making use of my SQL. For somebody like me, I'm making use of my SQL server. Can I still run my query on it and get it saved? Or I need to install this version of SQL?
Okay, so mute your mic, please. Thank you. So I don't want to restrict anyone. Okay. The fact is just an added advantage since you already know how to use SQL Server. All right. So maybe some people here might be using Postgres. All of these are relational database systems, all right, to interact with your database. So this is just an added bonus, right? I do not use what's it called? SQL Server. I don't use SQL Server, all right. So that does not mean I don't understand some of the things there, right? So use what works for you, all right. The best we can do is to just give guidance, all right. So you can, if you try to replicate this using MySQL Workbench, fine, it's a plus on your end, all right. You will be very flexible working in any firm or any organization. That's an added bonus for you. If you want to create it, if you want to do this on my my SQL server, beautiful. Okay, so this is the reason I'm using this because I felt from the analysis, and I just felt this will be very easy for us to understand. But most of us will also have a preference. So But for the sake of this class now, your assignment should be on MySQL Workbench. All right. For the sake of this class, you could try it out on whichever RDBMS you are working with. Feel free. But this class, this is what we are using. So I expect your assignment to be in this format. All right. I believe most of us here we use Tableau too. I was using Tableau at some point, but I've not been using it for a while. I use Power BI because Power BI has advanced features, right? So most of us too we use Python. So you could replicate it anywhere. But for the sake of this class, use this. Have you been using MySQL Workbench like since you started, Lawa?
Yes, I use it. That is what when I was learning SQL on data camp, that is what the instructor used. So I have it downloaded on my system. I tried
Okay.
Postgres, but I don't really understand it. So I went back to my SQL. So I'm traveling between Postgres and my SQL server. But this one is new for me because I've not tried it before. Then recently I tried playing with Oracle too.
Okay. This one has a beautiful, the syntax very intuitive. All right. So feel free, and it's to your own advantage. Like I said, you'll be very flexible. In fact, you'll be highly resourceful when it comes to data analysis because you can work with multiple tools, right? You can work with multiple tools. So, all right. So I think that answers the question. Esther, yes, please go ahead. Your hands are up. I think this will be the last question or any try end the call. Please go ahead and fill your attendance and Esther, go ahead, please. Esther Dennis, your hands are up.
Maybe she's not here, sir.
Okay. If you're speaking, that means you are muted. Since you can't hear. All right. So that'll be all for today's class. All right. So there won't be class on Sunday. All right. If there's a change in plan, I'll reach out on time. Okay. All right. I think we're good for now. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye, sir.
Bye.